Welcome to the Real Wellness Podcast Unfiltered. Today I'm going to be talking about rising from depression, my experiences and my story, and what worked and what didn't work, and also how the things that can help you to take the first steps. I'm Caroline Douglas. I am a transformational coach, also hypnotherapist and mentor, and I also lead wellness retreats and I'm a speaker. And I'm created the Harmony Life Wellness Blueprint, Wellness and Resilient Blueprint, which is a transformational pathway to help you with your mental and emotional, physical and spiritual well-being. And I'm also the founder of the Norfolk Wellbeing Community. So, that's a lot to do, a lot to say. Um, so I'm actually going to warn you really because I do not have a script, and I will jump from subject to subject, but I will also cover what I've said I'm going to cover. So um, bear with me. So let's just start really about my for some my journey about depression. So and see, if this resonates with you and if it makes sense and if you've experienced this too. Um, so my experience of depression is that I had it for quite a while, but it was like on and off. So I don't know if that resonates with you. And usually, when I would really hit rock bottom, was because I was on the verge of a breakthrough. So I'd often have a mini breakdown. Everyone's version of breakdown is different. And then it would lead to a breakthrough. Although when I went down, I didn't want to be here. I felt so depressed, couldn't stop crying, my head was hurting, and I couldn't hear my guidance. I couldn't see anything. I just really felt stuck and frustrated. Um, does this resonate? Do you feel, do you feel like sometimes that you suddenly feel down or you can suddenly feel depressed? If someone says they've never felt depressed or never felt down, it's a lot of bullshit because we all go in and out of happiness and sadness and grief and anger, a whole range of emotions. But some people sometimes or all the time get stuck. And that's really due to what they've learnt as a child, growing up in their family, what they've learnt from their friends, um, and the meaning they've given things. So, if you've grown up in a family, which I definitely grew up in, where you weren't allowed to express your feelings, you weren't allowed to speak your truth, and you certainly weren't allowed to express any anger or any moods. Um, and sadness wasn't accepted. You had to go into your room and just cry yourself out of it. And you weren't really, how can I put this? It's almost like being positive and happy was accepted, but not being joyful. So all these rules and regulations, um, which was, like when I would feel joyful, I would get quite giddy. And that's an old-fashioned word. So giddy, I would say it's like real, high joy. Um, I remember when I was feeling really, I was only a little girl and I was really excited and giggling and singing and everything, like dancing. And I remember my dad said to me, stop being giddy. And I thought, what does he mean? Giddy, and he said, stop being giddy, because, you'll get locked up. People think you're mad. And I thought, wow, so I was really scared to get excited and be overjoyed. So for quite a long time, these are some of the key ingredients that would that would actually trigger off depression. So for quite a while, I locked that up inside, it wasn't safe to be joyful, to be giddy, to be excited, to be really, really passionate, to be OTT, because I guess the message I receive is you're too much. Also receive the message you're not enough. Does that resonate with you? Have you ever sort of felt like that or told yourself you're not enough or that you're too much or you've tried to reduce yourself down? So you can imagine when you have to keep reducing yourself down, compressing things, that would naturally create a response in terms of being depressed. So the root cause of my depression was trauma. I experienced a lot of trauma as a child and as a young adult. But let's go back because I said I would be skipping backwards and forwards. Um, so going back to depression is if you are if you've been told to or you feel you've had to suppress your feelings, in terms of it could be the message could have been that you could have felt like you don't feel safe. You don't feel safe to express your emotions. You don't feel comfortable, or you feel that, it makes you a weak person. It means you're not strong. It means you can't cope. All that sort of bullshit rubbish, bullshit lies. They really are bullshit, harmful lies, that we learn, that we hear, that we experience. We feel like, well, I best do this. It's a lot of bullshit. So what happens, when you suppress all those feelings, they get locked up in your cells and your body holds the truth, whether that's a beautiful, powerful truth or it's a painful truth and it gets locked up in your cellular memory. And then what happens is it gets triggered because it's in your body and it keeps being triggered. So all those lies of that you have to suppress your feelings, it's like your body is highly intelligent. It holds the truth and it wants you to express your feelings. It wants it to be released. It wants to be healed. And so, it will give you little signs like an ache or a pain or it shout at you of an illness or disease. Now, I'm not saying because if you suppress your feelings means you'll have a disease. All our bodies are different. I'm just saying for me personally, and also for my family and my clients and friends, they have experienced this where their body is speaking to them. And also it's been proven scientifically that illness and disease has an emotional, the root cause is emotional. So if we suppress our emotions, whether that be sadness, anger, grief, happiness, whatever it is, then our body is trying to speak to us to let us know. And so I learnt those things not to hold on to those things. So it would be natural that I would then, would get depressed. And so when I say get depressed, we don't actually get it. We don't actually go in a shop and get it. But something will happen. It could be like for me, what would happen, and I don't know if this is like resonating with you. So for me, what would happen is like I could really, like work too hard because that's a thing that I learned in my family. You have to really work hard. It was like there was addiction to work. So that would trigger it. So I would work really hard, non-stop, no breaks. And so I would then reach that point where I'm so tired and probably would have a migraine and then would have to rest. And in that resting period, I had to really let go. And that's what I'd cry and feel down and feel depressed and sometimes feel suicidal where I feel I couldn't cope. But really, if you think about that message, really couldn't cope. It's like couldn't cope with that unhealthy way of life. Whereas I thought that I wasn't strong enough to cope. So I received mixed messages as a child. Have you received mixed messages? And how did that affect you? So the messages, the message I received as a child At a very young age, I had to be very strong and grown up and look after myself. But there'd be sometimes, so this is another thing that would trigger off depression. There'd be sometimes where I just didn't want to cope. It was just life was just, there were so many challenges, so many things that I just wanted to escape. And I guess my way of escaping would be that I didn't want to be here. So it wasn't that, so there were it was good to be strong and resilient, but other times I didn't want to be strong and resilient. I wanted to just let go, just surrender. And so that's okay because we're not meant to be strong and resilient all the time like that because it's like a huge pressure. It's about softening our hearts and relaxing and surrendering and giving ourselves permission to rest and relax and surrender. Is that making sense? Have you felt like that, where you feel like you may be on a hamster wheel and you can't stop? You're focused on work or focused on family and you don't focus on yourself, and then your health and well-being suffers. Our health and well-being is the foundation of everything. If you don't have your well-being, then you're not able to function. So, the other thing I'd like to share with you um, was when I mean, there's many times I can share with you about the lessons I've learned about depression. Um, but I want to share this experience was when I worked in the NHS. I worked in the NHS for like 16 years as a health and wellbeing manager and coach, but I often felt like a secret spiritual agent. Um, I remember it's probably over 20 years ago. I have to say, I'm not really great with names or, remembering the number of years or dates. Um, but I remember when, I mean, I love learning, love reading books, and I also had an addiction to courses. But I remember, reading about happiness, about this book about happiness by Dr. Robert Holden. And it was so simple and easy to read. It was fun. And it was like, I think what I loved about it more than anything else was that, you know, he'd experienced depression, and he was highly successful, but, he came from his heart and he was like present. He didn't live from his head. He was like completely present. And so I heard about this course called Happiness. And I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. And instead of thinking about it for myself, I thought this would be amazing because everything I learn, I can bring back into the trust, that's the NHS, and I can design a program like a course about happiness and well-being and then, deliver it, run the program. And so I went on this program and, I learned that happiness is an inside job. But I didn't just like know it intellectually, I felt it. And I had experienced a big shift. But what I want to share with you more than anything else was a week after that course, I suddenly felt so depressed. I went into this dark, deep hole and I thought I could never get out of it. I felt so scared because I'd always been very good at being happy and positive. And it wasn't okay not to be unhappy and to not be, I'd learnt that, that it was safer to do that, and that's how I would function in life. But I guess my heart, my whole body, every cell of my being wanted me to get this lesson. So I felt so down and I felt so stuck, and all I could think was like, how on earth can I tell anybody in the NHS when I go back that, I went on this happiness course and, a week after I felt really depressed and suicidal. They're going to think like, I'm a failure, or I felt a failure, which is bullshit really, isn't it? But when I was, I felt so stuck that I just kept asking to be shown the truth. I asked for my guidance, my inner guidance to show me the truth. about what is it? What is the gift? What is the blessing? That may sound strange to you, but that's how I operate. I wanted to know what is it because I knew once I saw it, once I received it, once I heard it, it's like I knew I would shift. I knew I just wanted to know. It didn't matter what it was, I needed to know. And I remember after a few days, I received this message. It was just very quiet, very gentle. And it was just like, it's okay to be unhappy. And I thought, really? Is that it? It's okay to be unhappy? Um, it's okay to be unhappy sometimes, and that it's about when you get stuck. And so I'd learned in life to be, on what, feeling and expressing just a very limited range of emotions because of, how I felt. I didn't feel safe. And and they weren't like the level, the emotions weren't a high level. They were just very reduced level. Hope that makes sense. And so the message was, and the gift really for me was that it's okay to be unhappy sometimes. It's okay to be sad. It's normal. It's when you get stuck. That's when things, that's when you can get depressed, frustrated, um, angry. Um, and so I don't know if that's making sense to you. And the other thing that I learned is that we all go in and out of happiness and sadness and grief and anger. We're not meant to be happy 24/7, but because of my upbringing and what I learned, I thought and believed, I thought, well, if only I could just be happy. I wanted to be happy all the time, but really, that isn't even healthy to be happy all the time because it's important for us to experience a whole wide range of emotions. Because if we didn't experience sadness, we wouldn't really know what happiness was, and we wouldn't have that gratitude and appreciation. So if we were happy all the time, we wouldn't actually experience a whole range of emotions. And it's experiencing, the richness of life, the richness of emotions. So once I learned that, I thought, oh, okay. And so it's when we get stuck in it, stuck in a particular emotion which is unhealthy. So is that making sense? So that I just want to say the root cause of my depression, well, there were many root causes, but I would say it was trauma that triggered it all off. Um, and the other reason, and I will go into this in more depth, this was I never, when I would be really depressed, I wouldn't feel free. And I just thought that, leaving the earth, not being here, I would feel free to be my true, authentic self, and I would feel fulfilled and I'd be able to fulfill my purpose that I came here, that I was born to do, which obviously is a lot of bullshit. But when you're in that, you can think that and feel that, and it feels true and real. But what I also realize, and see if this resonates for you, is when I've had those moments where I felt really down, I've gone, hit rock bottom, you can call it the dark night of the soul, is when I was on the verge of a breakthrough. So those mini breakdowns, I will call them, is like when we have a mini breakdown or big breakdown, it's because we're on the verge of a breakthrough. And, this has happened with my clients. It's like when they're just about to have a huge shift, huge expansion breakthrough, they can hit rock bottom. Suddenly the doors close. It's like they feel stuck. It's like feel empty. Nothing's happening. But it's about really just resting and being kind and loving to yourself. And then you will rise up into that breakthrough. So let's just talk about what can you do? I mean, are you feeling depressed right now, or have you felt depressed and felt stuck and tried different, therapies, mindset stuff, all sorts of stuff? and felt things work or don't work and it's not consistent. Well, the most important thing really is to, so long term, when I say long term, it's like I'm going to show you how to shift your state. But long term is really about healing and resolving the root cause. Otherwise, because your body holds the truth, it's going to be continually triggered. So it's like your body wants to be healed. It wants that trauma to be healed. And then it's like reprogramming and recoding your mind and your heart and your body and your cellular memory to new empowering beliefs and patterns and programs. So the other thing, so when you do that, it's like that's really important when you heal and resolve whatever's causing this depression. Is like reprogramming your mind and body. It's not just like, oh, okay, it's, I'm feeling really great and I've got this new belief and I believe it. No, that's bullshit. Because what happens is your mind and body and cellular memories become addicted to that, to depression, or those whole range of emotions and thoughts that go with it. And so it will bring up resistance, which means it is working. So when you start to reprogram your mind and your body and your cellular memory, what happens is you will be shown the opposite. So everything that's not in alignment with that program, new belief will come up for you for you to, will be shown to you, for you to see it, like, oh, that's what I do. That's what happens. That's what I think. That's what I feel. So you can really see the truth of that and how it's operated in your life and how it's been driving you in your life and how it's created unhealthy behaviors. And then from that place, it's really been committed to then continue reprogramming your mind and your body and cellular memory to this new coding, because remember, your mind and body's become addicted all those years or all those months. And it's like your mind and your body needs to be brought on board. So it's also about feeling it as well, so that then you can take on that new program. So it will take, after about a week, you start to notice a difference. Sometimes after a day, you can feel a real shift. But it's also about round about, within a month, you will start to see that program working, that new. But also, I'd highly recommend keeping a journal so you have evidence of it working and taking action. So whatever you feel guided to do with that new belief, new program that you reprogram your mind to and your body to, is take action with that to show your mind and body this is it, this is the new truth and that other stuff was bullshit. So I will go into more about this on in other episodes. But what I'd like to do now is I'd like to show you how you can shift your state very quickly. And I remember I learnt this when I did the Tony Robbins courses, and I also trained in NLP and hypnotherapy as well. But I loved it when I saw it. I thought, wow, that is amazing. And I remember I used to do it in the NHS with the patients and staff I worked with. So, and I also do this with my clients, because I want to show you how you can shift your state. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to shift your state forever, for days, for months or years. It's to show you you have that power to shift your state. So I invite you now just to close your eyes, and I want you to really, and this is only for not even a minute really, but I want to show you how you can shift your state really quickly. So only do this if you feel guided to do this. You feel comfortable doing this. It's really just under a minute. Maybe do this with somebody who you trust, or, someone you love. But it's just, I want you to, with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine a situation. It might be that you're feeling that now. I want you to imagine a situation or what you're feeling right now. And I want you to, so say you're feeling really depressed or down, and I want you to imagine that that is tenfold, that it's doubled, that you've got like a remote control, and the intensity of that you want to, with the remote control, switch it up to 10 and then switch it up to 20 in terms of your thoughts, your feelings, and how, really feel that so extreme now. Feel that now. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in now. And now, what I'd like you to do is to now just visualize a wonderful moment in your life, a joyful, happy moment, the first moment that comes up in your life. I want you to visualize it on a huge screen with bright colors. Use your remote control and loud sounds like joyful and joy and happiness. You might be celebrating or might be a beautiful holiday, whatever it is. I want you to increase the intensity of that now. And I want you to step inside that picture now and really feel it in your body. It's really important to feel it in your body. Feel it in every cell of your being, that happiness, that joy. What does it feel like to feel so happy and joyful? And now take a nice deep breath in and open your eyes. Now notice how you're feeling. You would have shifted states. So let's do that one more time. So just take a nice deep breath in. I just like you now to breathe in slowly for 5 and then breathe out for 5. And with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine a scene, or might be how you're feeling now, feeling really depressed, feeling really down, really feeling that, noticing how you're feeling in your body, what your thoughts are. Just really get yourself into that place. It's not a nice place, but I want to show you how you can shift your state very quickly. I'm not saying permanently, I'm saying right now. I want to show you you have that power to do that. So now I want you to take a nice deep breath in. Imagine you've got that remote control. Increase that now so you don't feel you're feeling really down. Take another deep breath in. Notice how you're feeling. And now I want you to switch it now. Actually, I want you to get a new remote control because this is the happiness and joy remote control. And I want you now, with your eyes closed, take a nice deep breath in. And I want you to visualize a scene where a wonderful moment where you felt joy and happiness and bliss. Whatever the first moment is, the first picture, first sound, go into that now. Really go into it, immerse yourself into it, and allow yourself to feel that in every cell of your being, that happiness and joy. Increase it now with the remote control. You're feeling so happy, so joyful, really happy and joyful. You're so happy and joyful, you just don't know what to do. You're feeling overjoyed now. Notice how you're feeling in your body, what you're thinking. And now take a nice deep breath in and open your eyes and just breathe in for 5 and then breathe out for 5. So breathe in that beautiful, happy, joyful moment into every cell of your being and then just breathe out. And now I just want you to notice now, how do you feel now? Because I'm pretty sure that you will be feeling, if not very happy, a little bit happy. So I hope this has helped you. Everything I've shared, I hope it's helped you. You found it useful. And if you have, I'd love for you to share this podcast and subscribe, share it with your family and friends. And also, I'd love to hear I'd love to hear your comments. So please share your comments, any questions. And I'd invite you to join the Norfolk Wellbeing Community. I've created a group called the Norfolk Wellbeing Community because that's where I live. But you will learn so many different things about like your well-being, how to improve your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. Sharing tips and tools and resources, and there will be events as well. But it's also to support you and empower you because our well-being is so important as well. So I hope you found this useful and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Have a wonderful day.